Right, this is a road test video. This is for a Nissan 370Z GT edition. Reg number from memory is AU12TCX, I think. Sorry, I do apologise. I've left a piece of paper inside which should tell me that, and I never ever remember them. The reason we basically do the road test is simple. We like people to see the cars in operation prior to coming to see us, and we feel it's right if someone's going to make the trip to us, they can do so in the knowledge that the car drives as it should, or if there's any issues with the car, then obviously I can relay those back to you. We're selling now to customers all over the near continent and the whole of the UK, so people are coming much further afield to see and drive and buy our cars. I'm also doing the road test on exactly the same roads as any prospective buyer will be road testing the vehicle, so in that sense it should be wholly representative of what you should feel yourself when you come and drive the car. Mileage to start this brief road test, it's literally just clicked over 60,000 miles, 60,060 miles I think from what I can see on there now. I bought the car just under 60,000. Hopefully you'll have seen the walk around video by now by the time I've done the editing, but just to recap, obviously just the one private gentleman has owned the car from new, and he's had the car serviced solely and exclusively at Westway Nissan main dealer up in Coventry. So I mean, it's been a beautifully looked after car. Basically, starting with the engine of the vehicle, car starts absolutely on the button as you'd expect. Engine is wonderful, lovely engine. No warning lights on the car, obviously. Pulls incredibly well. Got a really nice soundtrack to it as well. But you know, in terms of kind of the way the engine pulls, holes, there's no fluttering, there's no vibrations that shouldn't be there. It really does pull very well indeed. You know, it's a lot of power, so you know, for those who enjoy their cars, enjoy their driving, you can absolutely love it. The engine obviously goes through clutch to gearbox. Clutch in the car's lovely and light. It's, you know, it's solid in terms of kind of mechanically got a nice sort of weighty feel to it. It's very smooth in actuation. The bite point's exactly where you want it to be, and there's no kind of squeaks or clicks on the clutch mechanism at all. Not that you really expect one on these, but it just hasn't got it. Gearbox, again, very nice mechanical feel to it. There's not an ounce of wear in it at all. The gear change is really well judged. Lovely synchro mesh on it. You know, positively encourages gear changing, which isn't always the case in some cars. But it's very pleasant car to drive. Car drives in a couple of modes. Just drive it in normal manual mode, which I can do by pressing this S mode button off, or you can press the S mode, have that on as well. And you know what's lovely about that is, I mean, the pedals actually are really well positioned for heel and towing, so it's not difficult. But in this S mode, when I change down, it blips the revs automatically to rev match on my down change. So if I go down to third now, lovely little blip from 3 to 4,000, and it modulates it beautifully, so it's taking the strain off the transmission and the brakes when you're down changing. But all works absolutely beautifully. It really does. All the gears engage perfectly. There's not, as I said, genuinely I can't detect anywhere at all. Steering of the car tracks bullet straight, no vibrations going back through the steering wheel of the car. A very nicely set up power steering system of the car. It's got weight, but it's got accuracy, it's got feel, it's got feedback. No wear at all coming through the steering of the vehicle. I can't feel any vibrations or nasty kind of clatterings coming back through. Not that I expect them, but you know, it's just nice to know they're not there. Likewise with the suspension of the car, again equally, I'm not getting any hint of any kind of any wear on there. That, you know, it rides very well actually. It's got that lovely kind of nuggety feel to it when it's at it, but it can handle the bumps extraordinarily well. But what it doesn't lose is a real flow to its drive and handling. Where, you know, it goes into corners, it doesn't pitch or wallow in any way. You know, it's a very dynamic car, but it's not so brutally sporting that you can't do distance in it, because you certainly can. It's very comfortable. Brakes on the car, rock solid, really lovely brake pedal on it. It's a great soundtrack. I said it does pull and haul hard, it really does. But it's something, very different from the majority of cars, which is why I kind of love it, really. It's it's never going to be the most practical car in the world, but it's a beautifully assembled and built one. This in the interior is it's a very interesting place to sit. It's very well equipped. It's sat nav, rear camera, hands-free telephone. You've got everything realistically that you'll ever really need on the car. But everything operates perfectly. Air conditioning pumping ice cold air. Every switch I've works beautifully. But it's all really nicely done. The sat nav's nice and high. You've got obviously the other gauges for your battery there, and temperature gauge up nice and high as well. Sort of throw back to the old sort of 70s style dials that you see. But every switch is really nicely done, very high quality. Everything sort of got a nice little click action. Obviously the seats are electric as well, forward and back, backrest angle. Again, all work absolutely, exactly as they should. Coming across the main binnacle, obviously clearly it's got more sporty orientation than a standard dashboard, so it's very simple and easy to assimilate the information. So looking directly in front of me, the main dial is the rev counter, which is what you want to see on a sports car, really. You've got a little shift light, tell you what gear you're in if you're kind of stupid enough to forget, I guess. And then to the right of that, we've got the speedo as well, and the odometer. But all works, as I said, absolutely beautifully. It really does. A great car to drive. You can clearly tell it's been, it's been as well looked after as it has, just by how tight and taut the car feels. It's been, the chap clearly hasn't skimped in any way on his on the maintenance of the vehicle, and that comes across wonderfully in the way the car drives. I do love this S mode. It's so the down change with that little blip there, which you normally only get when you've got the kind of the Tiptronics on the autos. Something I've not had on a car before, and I must admit I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea. As much as I'm very much old school, and I do love the challenge of heel and towing. If you get it wrong, you can look like an absolute idiot. But this matches it beautifully. Just as the point of engagement comes, it blips the throttle. So it makes it synchronises the gear far better that way as well to the engine. But clearly, the point of the road test here, albeit as short as it is to give you any feedback on the car, good, bad, or otherwise. I haven't driven the car before, and for as long as I have, that I knew there wasn't anything great to mention on the car. In fact, there's nothing at all. In terms of the drive of the car mechanically, you are not going to fault the vehicle. It drives absolutely beautifully. So if you're coming any kind of distance to us, you can do so with the the utter confidence and surety that you're coming to drive a really wonderful example of what is a rare beast indeed. But what the video doesn't really get across, I guess, in some ways, and you have to kind of rely on manufacturers' road tests and the Motoring Press for that, is just how nicely the car drives. It's in a world of small capacity, highly strung, turbocharged engines, this comes across as a really lovely unit. It's got genuine guts, really lovely soundtrack to it, which is a mechanical soundtrack, not whooshes and wheezes going on. And it's, as I said, it's kind of old school, but with all the mod cons you get from sort of modern motoring, with kind of your Bluetooth and that kind of stuff. But unlike some cars, high performance cars, you're not looking at something which is too highly strung, and that really does count for a lot in your long-term ownership. But whoever the next person is who gets to own this car is going to be a very, very lucky man or woman indeed. It's a wonderful example. If there's anything we've missed out on, either this video or the information given on the advert itself, then obviously don't hesitate, do give us a call. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. With regard to road testing the vehicle, clearly and obviously we are very much limiting that to anyone who wants to buy the car on the day or leave a deposit. So, anyone's welcome to come and have a look at it if they're looking at other vehicles, but then to come back when they're in a position to make a decision there and then. It's too valuable a car and too risky to put it out on the road for any other reason. Obviously, if someone drove the car and there was a fault, we wouldn't expect you to go through with it. But as I know there isn't one, hopefully that won't be the case. But wonderful, wonderful car.